Good morning, students. Welcome back to our class. Today we'll see a lesson by Sudha Muthry entitled as Appro JRD. Uh, you all know Narayan Murthy very well. Sudha Muthry, she doesn't need any kind of an introduction. She's a well-known writer. She's famous philanthropist also. At the same time, she has been the first woman who worked on the assembly line of Tata Motors. This lesson is somewhere talking about how Sudha Murthy has an interaction with Tatas. At the same time, how she has groomed into an entrepreneur, and what inspired her, how her professional journey started at the IISC, Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore campus, which is a famous campus for its innovation and research activities, where Sudha Murthy she completed her post graduation in computer science, and then how she came into contact with Tatas and how she shares her memories of JRD Tata with us. And this lesson would tell you about the two people. One, the impressions of JRD Tata through the memory lens of Sudha Murthy, and how Sudha Murthy stood against the policies that were prevalent in those times, and how she has broken the shackles of the traditions and what we can say stereotypes, and she became the first woman working on assembly lines in Tata. So let's begin with the lesson. The lesson begins with objectives. These are the objectives that we'll study in this lesson. Uh, to study the characters of JRD Tata and Sudha Murthy, then to introduce the great Indian entrepreneur like JRD Tata, his virtues, his vision, and belief system through the memories of Sudha Murthy. It also would help you to understand the qualities of Sudha Murthy as a rebellion woman and activist. This lesson would also analyze the contemporary educational and industrial mindset. These are the learning outcomes. After learning this lesson, you would be able to understand the contemporary educational and industrial scenario in India. At the same time, you will be able to analyze the characters of JRD Tata and Sudha Murthy. This lesson would also benefit in developing the understanding the struggle of women in men-dominated industries. Uh, this lesson would also outcome with the appreciation of the qualities of JRD Tata and Sudha Murthy. Here you can see the picture of Sudha Murthy. You might have heard about her. You might have read about her. She often writes to the youth and communicates her inner thoughts to the public also. She had been, revered with so many awards and honors on various levels, governmental and non-governmental platforms. To know briefly about Sudha Murthy would do the background work for this lesson. She was born in 1950 and she was executive chairman of Infosys. And I don't think there's a single person in India or throughout the world who doesn't know Infosys. Narayan Murthy, whom we know as Corporate Gandhi, she is wife to that famous person with her own equal share in the fame of Narayan Murthy. Then she also writes. She has started a career as a computer scientist and an engineer. She taught the subject of as a visiting professor at Bangalore University also. She had contributed to the improvement of computer and library facilities in government schools in Karnataka. She has also founded orphanages and taken rural development initiatives. She was conferred the Padma Shri by Government of India in 2006. So, with this brief information, you can understand the way Sudha Murthy has contributed to the various segments of Indian life. These are the famous works of Sudha Murthy. You can see 3,000 stitches, then wise and otherwise, the day I stopped drinking milk, then the magic of the lost temple. She writes for women, she writes for even for children, and she's a well-known, celebrated writer in this sense. Many of the students, they were introduced to her as a writer. Mm, she was introduced to the students as a writer. So she has that influence on this next generation also. Here you can see, as we are talking about the characters of Sudha Murthy and JRD Tata. These are the two persons of the study today for us. This is a kind of an autobiographical test by Sudha Murthy, and this is an excerpt from her book. It brings out the characters of great entrepreneurs like JRD Tata and Sudha Murthy herself. She shares her experiences and memories of JRD Tata, her association with the Tata company, and then how she worked at telco, and the lessons she has learned from JRD. It also shares the experiences of the courage that a woman, a girl, has shown during 80s, 70s, and 80s. How this lesson brings out her rebellion and gives breakthrough to women as a great entrepreneurship. Uh, Lesson begins with somewhat, giving background of Bangalore campus, IISc Bangalore campus, where Sudha Murthy starts. She has been studying her post graduation course program. She was enrolled there for post graduation program, and how she came across to an advertisement, and she narrates the incident that how Telco Tata was hiring for the engineers in their Pune platform plant at Telco, and now it is called as Tata Motors. When she read the advertisement, she has, it stated that they require some young and bright, hardworking engineers with excellent academic background. But what we can say, what upset her was the bottom line that was given at the end of the advertisement, and it read like this: lady candidates need not apply. So what do you mean by this? you know and she felt that this was a kind of an insulting remark on all womankind, and then it was somewhere like doubting the caliber of women engineers who were, striving to prove their mettle. And the engineering stream was basically dominantly only for men then. And as she was there, she thought that, this is a kind of a gender discrimination that she has to face. And what upset her more was it came from company, it came from people like Tatas, who had been, pioneers in many segments of industrial development of India. So she took it as a challenge. This was challenge for her because she wanted to prove herself as a good engineer, as a equally sharp engineer who can work with men, and more than men, she can prove herself as a caliber, as a woman, and as an engineer. So she took it as a challenge, personal challenge, and she applied for the post. And she wrote a letter, a postcard to directly. She wrote to Tata as she didn't know anybody there, and to whom she should correspond. So she wrote Chairman JRD Tata, and then that letter went directly to Tata's. And what happened next? was, the way she has lodged the complaint, writing to that. Uh, Later on, she came to know that Sumant Mulgaonkar, who is famously known as SM, he was the chairman, he was heading Tata Group then. And then when she wrote like this, the great Tatas have always been pioneers. They are the people who started the basic infrastructure industries in India, such as iron and steel, chemicals, textiles, and locomotives. They have cared for higher education in India since 1900, and they were responsible for the establishment of the Indian Institute of Science, where she was working presently then. Fortunately, I study there, but I'm surprised how a company such as Telco is discriminating on the basis of gender. And then she just put the postcard into the post. She posted that later and forgot about that. She was busy in her studies again. And within 10 days, she received the telegram regarding the interview at Telco. And she was invited for appearing for the interview at company's expense. So her friends, it happens in that kind of an age. So her friends told her to grab this opportunity to, visit to celebrate her free picnic and bring some Pune saris from Pune. And those in those times in Pune, as even today, Pune is famous for so many things. We call it as an Oxford of East. So she wanted to visit, and her friends insisted her to bring cheap saris from Pune. So she collected 30 rupees from her friends each, and then she just embarked. She traveled to Pune. When she first, landed in Pune, what she remembered that she was in love with the city. That was the charisma, the charm of the city of like Pune, and it became her second home. She mentions that in chapter that she loved Pune as she loved her hometown, Hubli. So this was kind of love at first sight with the Pune, because this was the city that gave a lot to Murthy couple. Sudha Muthry, then she was Sudha Kulkarni. After getting married to Narayan Murthy, she became Murthy. So uh, now she tells us about the interview she has, appeared for. And when she came to Pune, the interview was scheduled at Pimpri office, Telco's Pimpri office. She appeared for that, and she saw that six people on the dais, they were sitting there, and she understood the gravity of the business. She thought that this interview would be kind of a serious thing, and she has to take care of that. Next, she thought that she heard someone said that this is the girl who wrote to JRD. And after listening to this comment, Sudha Muthry thought that she won't be selected, because these people are somewhat having grudges against her. They are prejudiced because she has complained against them, and this has made her to face the interview with the freedom that she has nothing to lose, and she has faced that interview with very confidence. But later on, she says that was kind of a rude behavior, and she felt sorry for that. She told the panel with in quite rudeness, impolitely. This happens in young age when you think that you are there to conquer the world, and something is against you, then you are ready to face it with all kinds of your vigor and energy. And she said to the panel that I hope this is only a technical interview. And this rudeness has caused shock to the panel. They were taken aback. And then she writes that she's still ashamed of it because of her impolite and rude behavior to such a nice group of people. Then actually the interview started. There was a question answer session, and at the end of the interview, an elderly person who spoke in a very soft voice, affectionate voice to her, and he cleared a doubt. Why? they don't, hire employ women, because he says that she has quoted this. I quote here: "Do you know why we said lady candidates need not apply? The reason is that we have never employed any ladies on the shop floor. This is not a co-ed college. This is a factory. When it comes to academics, you are a first ranker throughout. We appreciate that, but people like you should work in research laboratories." So after completing, after listening to that elderly person, she was take, she was, kind of shocked that how rude she was to think like that, and what mistake she had done by writing that complaint. But that was a complaint that made her appear this interview. She was invited only due to that letter. So she felt amazed at the end of the interview, and she was selected for the post. And she says that it was amazing experience of her life, and this gave her a lifetime opportunity to be there in this city. And she thought that means the Pune, the city, has changed her life because she got job there. Then she visited, she met her life partner, and the whole city, that city has given them identity. The people from Infosys, or the Infosys founders. This After this interview, uh, how she got in interaction with Tatas. She narrates the events regarding to that. When she joined Telco, she came to know really about who is JRD and what his status is there. And then she writes about him that JRD was, he was the uncrowned king of Indian industry, because Tata's, Jamshedji Tata and all Tatas, they were, pioneers in developing industrial sector in India. What we can say, they have brought industrial revolution in this sense in India. She was scared. She was literally scared, And now JRD was a boss, and she was his employee. So she thought that when she would meet JRD, what would be the result? What would be his reaction? And the time came, actually, when she was transferred to Bombay plant, she came across JRD Tata, and she was reporting to SM Sumant Mugaonkar at Bombay House. This is Tata headquarters. She met JRD there for the first time, and then she came to know that people used to call him Appro JRD. Appro means ours, Amche, like that. Yeah, Appro in JRD, with great love and respect. So this was, this is the virtue of a leadership. Respect cannot be demanded or commanded. Respect is earned. When you earn that respect through your dedication, through your caring attitude towards your employee, they love you, they respect you. And this is what, was the output of Tata's policies, human resource policies, and how they groomed the talent and they developed new leaderships. Then she came to know that his close associates, they used to call him J, with first letter J. And then Suman Mulgaonkar, he introduced her. J, this is young woman. This is the lady. This young woman is an engineer, and that too a postgraduate. So, can you imagine that way back in the 70s, a woman is having degree, post-graduation degree in engineering? The it was a long journey for women, and as we all know, it was Savitribai Phule, whom we called with great reverence and love Savitri Mai, who became the pioneering figure together with her husband uh, Mahatma Jyotiba Phule, Jyotirao Phule, we call him with love and great respect. Uh, and how life has changed for women in India. And then here we have Sudha Murthy, who is a postgraduate student from engineering background. So that was kind of a proud thing for Indian women then. And he also says that she's the first woman to work on the telco shop floor. So, in this sense, Sudha Murthy has set the example for next generations of women because she create the, created the royal path for the next generation of engineers. And it was at the same time unconscious, on unconscious level, she has broken the stereotypes about women, because later on she herself writes that there were so many women, and this is somewhere related to Tata, not only Tatas but in overall industry in India, that so many women they enrolled for engineering degrees, and they're working on the shops, they were working in workshops in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. So this was kind of she set the example for future generations of women in India. Then this here you can see JRD Tata. This is the Tata House headquarters. Tata House is the Bombay House Tata headquarters, and this is the logo that you would see in every Tata product. Now, when Sudha Murthy, she was interacting with she talks about few incidences, her interaction with Tata, JRD Tata, and what she observed is his simplicity and generosity. Uh, Such a person like JRD Tata, whom she refers to as uncrowned king of Indian industry. And still, this man is so simple and so generous. This is virtue. When you have too much and still you're on the ground, you're on the earth, deeply rooted in the soil, that makes you a great human being. So when she came across, when she was still nervous about the incident of this postcard episode, and she was afraid of that. But when JRD heard to SM, Sumant Mulgaonkar, he just remarked, "It is nice that girls are getting into engineering in our country. By the way, what is your name?" Murthy gave a name, Sudha Murthy. Sudha Kulkarni. And then she was in great awe of JRD, because she was her boss, not only a boss, but big man in India. And then she shares that how is this man has shown simplicity and greatness. She gives another example that she was wearing in the corridor for her husband after the day's work. He was about to pick up her in the evening, and it was getting darker. So she saw that JRD Tata was standing next to her, and she was still worrying about the postcard about that somewhere stuck into her mind. And then she has realized that he has totally forgotten about it. That was very meager, a very useless affair for him. Then he inquired about her wearing, why she was wearing that. And then, as there was nobody in the corridor, he stayed with her. This was the virtue of the man. And she was completely nervous that a boss is wearing with his employee in the corridor at this hour when nobody was there. And it shows that how caring, how fatherly treatment he has shown the concerns towards the young lady. And when Narayan Murthy arrived to pick up her, he asked her to tell your husband not to make young women wait again at this hour, especially at the end of the day. So this incident somewhere has thrown light on the character of JRD Tata, that how caring he was, how he cared for the employees, and then he treated them as a family member. Then Sudha Murthy next talks about how he had that kind of encouraging and kind nature. She shares another incident, another memory with JRD Tata, and it was way back in 1982 when she was about to resign from the telco, and she thought to assist her husband, and while they were starting their own business, their own company called as Infosys at Pune. And then he was talking to her. He asked her just very casual interaction, what will you do when you will be successful? And this came, sudden shock to her. And she said that she was doubtful whether it happens with common man, that when we are starting something new, you are always having doubts whether we'll be successful or not, then what will happen with us, whether this plan will be worked out or not, will face criticism, or will face success, or the praises, or the failure. You don't know, because everything is, you're groping into the dark. So after listening to her, he advised that never start with diffidence, and this was the key to success. Always start with confidence, because when you are successful, and he says further that remember one more thing, that when you will be successful, you must give back to society, because society gives us so much, and we must reciprocate. I wish you all the best, he said. And this we give back to the society. This is a wonderful concept. Yeah, because even this is, the governmental policy nowadays. And in commerce and management, we learn about corporate social responsibility. Under CSR, means under this plan, under this scheme, all the industrialists, they have to share their profit with community, with society. Means they can set up computer centers, community centers, hospitals, then libraries, and then schools. Even they can, provide the facilities like roads, electricity. They can give scholarships. They can give, they can set up the orphanages, old age homes, so that whatever they earn from society, they have to give back. They have to pay back. And this is, now government strategy, and all great people, all industrialists, they are doing this. So this corporate social responsibility is one of the major aspect of industrial life. And then she shares another incident, when after these two incidents, it shows that how JRD Tata has left permanent impact on Sudha Murthy's mind. And after some years, when she visited Ratan Tata in Bombay House, she was, the memories they came in flood. And she shared her experiences, her memories with Ratan Tata. And then Ratan Tata specially wrote to her that, you know, it was nice hearing about Jay from you. The sad part is that he's not alive to see you today. And this suggests the affiliation, sense of belonging, sense of family, familyness. Because, after sharing the memories of JRD, of what he thought that a person from his own family came to see him, and this was kind of a emotional uh, gesture on the part of Ratan Tata, who wrote to her about her success. And unfortunately, JID was not there to witness her success. Uh, Now, Sudha Murthy, somewhere, she's talking about how great JID was. And she considers that what makes him so great, you know, he was so busy a person, because he had to run the whole telco, whole Tata empire. But still, he valued the postcard written by a young girl seeking justice. This made the difference, because it could have been possible for Tatas, they had policy not to employ any woman on the shop floor. And just that later of Sudha Kulkarni could have been given the place into the dustbin, because we have policy, we won't go against that. But still, seeing the sensibility of a young woman seeking justice, and the young woman who is trying to justify her existence in male dominated society, in male dominated profession. And that one letter has changed her life, not only her life, but life at telco also, because the company has changed its policy. It welcomed many women, you know, that later caused this change. And that's why, Murthy says that he has respected the intentions of an unknown girl. And later came by a girl, and he doesn't know who is that girl. But still, that girl is given space, respect, platform to give her say. And the girl who has neither say or no money, she has no powerful background then, and still Tata has given her opportunity to prove herself, and she was selected later on, and not only giving a job, but somewhere changed her mindset also, not to be not to jump on conclusion instantly. The way she has behaved very rudely with the panelist during her interview, and the overall atmosphere at telco then has changed her perception about industry, about the work ethics, about the dedication, the devotion, policies, and the giving back to society. This, in this sense, it has left indelible mark on her psyche also. Then she finally, at the end of the lesson, she says that now in engineering colleges, near about 50% students are girls. So this is the magic. And somewhere, when somebody gets success in that particular field, that person is seen as a role model. And then Sudha Murthy became the role model for future generations of women. And looking at her, every father might have thought that my girl would go into an engineering college, should be an engineer. And then even girls, they were motivated to enroll themselves in the PG programs, UG programs for engineering, and then get into engineering jobs. Till then, the whole arena was restricted. There was no welcome for women in such industries. So, in this sense, she thinks that Tata was a great man, and Tatas are great. And she has great reverence for Tata House because she thinks that, JRD has set the role model for all industrial law, for all entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs also. And for herself, for on personal level, JRD was a role model, not because that he was uncrowned king of Indian industry, but irrespective of his status and influence, the power, financial and industrial, he had retained his simplicity, the most important virtue of the great person. His generosity, giving back to, paying back to the society, generous behavior to his employees, his kindness and care, the way he has waited with Sudha Murthy in the corridor for her husband. This has somewhere changed the dimensions of her life. And she says that those blue eyes, they always reminded her of sky. They had the same vastness and munificence, the greatness, ever encompassing, the compassion for humanity. That, as a sky, it covers the whole humanity, the whole earth. So those blue eyes were emblem of sky. They stood for that, huge vastness of the sky. And this is the greatness of the JRD that Sudhamurthy has thought over. And then at the end, we can say that how this lesson, Appro JRD, Amche JRD, our JRD, has somewhere talked about the two great people in Indian industry. One is JRD Tata, and another one, the budding star then and now established person as a of Infosys co-founder and the well-known writer in India, Padma Shri Veena Award. Padma Shri Award winner. So this chapter provides you insights that if you aspire with confidence, if you are ready to raise your voice against the discrimination, you will get the place. First thing. The next thing is that if you dare to care for your future, take action. Because Sudha Kulkarni as a girl was nothing, but she dared to write that complaint letter. And even if you have power, don't underestimate a single person that can be, that you can influence him. So JRD Tata is representing the class of people, a class of entrepreneurship, class of leadership that cared for its employee with great generosity, with great simplicity, with great humanity, and they never, when she said that I'm leaving the job, he said, "Okay, what will you do? What you're doing?" So when she said that my together with my husband, I am starting my our own company, Infosys. So he believed in her capacity as a future entrepreneur. He thought that she would be successful, and she advised her not to start with diffidence, start with confidence. So we all, as human beings, you all student of aspiring entrepreneurs, and you want to settle yourself as self-employed people, or you want to start your own startups, so you should have this kind of examples before you and encourage yourself to give your best to contribute to the country and benefits of your society. Thank you once again. Uh, so I think it would be enough for today with this. Let's see tomorrow once again. We'll catch up with the new lesson. Goodbye.